Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hack Shack workshop on Grommet and Grommet Designer. So myself, Pramod Sareddy. I'm a full stack developer, part of HPE Experience Studio. I work on like developing web applications and also work on developing language bindings. And I educate people. And I'm also part of HPE developer community where focusing on attracting developers and interacting with them, fixing their issues. Um, during my free time, like I play volleyball and cricket, and I'm based out of Houston, Texas. So this is my small introduction. So let's go through to the workshop. So in today's workshop, we're going to talk about Grommet and Grommet Designer. So you'll be able to get a chance to do the hands-on experience. So let me quickly give you an introduction what exactly a Grommet is. So Grommet is a React-based framework which provides accessibility, modularity, responsiveness, and theming in a tidy package. So let me elaborate a little bit on these terminologies. So accessibility means like whenever you develop a web application, it should be accessible to everyone. Even if you're physically challenged, you should be able to access it. So Grommet provides this feature out of the box, and it also provides like modularity. So application will be said to be modular if you are able to add or remove few pieces of the code from the existing application, then your application will be modular. So this feature is also provided by Grommet. And another feature is responsiveness. So whenever you design a web application, it has to fit into all different screens. I mean to say it should fit in mobile version, tablet version, and the desktop version. And this feature is provided by Grommet. And the last thing is like theming. So whenever you design any application, a production grade application, right? So you need to have an ability to modify your layout or modify the font size of your application, maybe the color of the, like different boxes or the buttons that you have in the application. So theming is one particular thing. If you make a change in one particular place, it's going to apply across the application. So Grommet provides this theming option for you. So this is a small introduction of Grommet. So let's see what Grommet Designer is. So Grommet Designer is a tool which helps you to design the front-end UI screens, which uses Grommet components. So Grommet is built, like these Grommet components are the building blocks for the Grommet. An example Grommet component can be a paragraph, it can be a button, it can be a date component, it can be a calendar component. So these are all comes under Grommet components. So all these components together makes a Grommet library. And in this today's workshop is delivered to Jupyter Notebook. And this is a follow along hands-on experience. So you're going to follow the instructions mentioned in the Jupyter Notebook. So let me explain in few words like what exactly a Jupyter Notebook is. So Jupyter Notebook is an open source web application where you can document and run your code right away in that document. So instead of going out somewhere and running your application or running your code samples, you can run everything inside the Jupyter Notebook. Apart from these features, like it also provides like data transformation, data visualization things. So we're not going to do all those things today. We're just going to refer whatever we, things like, we basically use in today's workshop like Jupyter Notebook to go through the instructions. So let me walk you through like what you have to do from now. So everyone will get a student ID and you will point your browser to notebooks.hpdev.io. Once you point there, you're going to log in with your assigned student ID and a password. So if you are attending a live session, you can get your, if you don't have a student account, you can ask in a chat where you will get it. If you are registered for a session, you'll receive an email with those credentials. So let me point my browser to notebooks.hpdev.io and show you how to log in and how to get started in this workshop. So, so here, like you see that I pointed my browser to notebooks.hpdev.io. In here, you will be logging with your student account. So let me log in with my account. And I put in my password. Okay, so once you put in your credentials, you'll be taken to a dashboard screen where you'll be landing in this workshop Grommet folder. So if you're not on this folder, you can click on this folder icon, and which will show you the available workshops here. Basically, you'll be seeing only workshop Grommet. Once you double click on that, you're going to see all these different notebooks in here. So there are around 6 Jupyter notebooks here. You can download these notebooks if you want. You can right click on this and you can click on download to save it to your local workspace. And this particular workshop is not hardware dependent. So even after your session, you can download all these notebooks and follow the instructions, and you will be able to finish the lab. So that being said, let me start with the first notebook. So this particular notebook focuses on like introducing what we'll be doing in this particular workshop. So this focus on how developers and designers use the Grommet and Grommet designers, and how they can quickly develop their application, and how can they generate the code and publish it to Netlify. So this is the lab. Let's talk about the goal of this workshop. By end of this workshop, you'll be able to explain what Grommet is, why it is used, and how you can use Grommet Designer to create your web application. And once you create your application, how you'll be able to convert your design into a live code, and how you can save it your code into a GitHub repository. So once you finish publishing your code to GitHub repository, then the next thing is you can build a CI/CD pipeline and push that source code into Netlify, where you can access it from the internet. So I'll be going through all these steps one by one in each lab. So this will be a so over here you're going to see an application here. So this is what you're going to develop in this workshop today. So, but not like, like whatever you see here is the sample application. So you're going to modify a few things here and there, like a name or the avatar or the role according to your needs. So let's talk about the lab flow. You'll start from this particular workshop, and if you need any additional information about the Jupyter notebook, we have links over here which will give you like what a Jupyter notebook is all about. You can go through this if you need more help. And if you want to download this Jupyter notebook onto your machine, we have a link over here where you can download this Jupyter notebook locally. Once you download all these workshops, you can access these workshops in the Jupyter notebook that you have installed in your local PC. That being said, so let's proceed to the next section. The next section focuses on documentation and tools. This provides like, few of the information that will be needed for you outside this workshop. So say, for example, you wanted to learn more about Grommet. So we have a link over here. If you need more information on Grommet Designer, you have a link here. And these are like few documentation links that are provided for your reference. So this complete workshop is divided into 4 pieces. So the first lab 1 is focus on the introduction piece, and lab 2 will be focusing on the Grommet Designer piece, where you will design your application, and lab 3 will focus on preparing your local environment to run the application, and lab 4 will focus on pushing your application to Netlify to make it available in the internet. So let's see, like let's proceed to the lab 1 and see like what we have in there. So this lab 1 focus on purely on Grommet and Grommet Designer introduction. As I mentioned already, like Grommet is a React component library which provides the responsiveness and like modularity, accessibility, and theming in a tidy package. So HPE is open source this Grommet to the community, where you can use this Grommet in order to build a simple and consistent user interface, and you'll have a consistent user experience across all the products, all the web applications across your organization. And you can see that there are around 5,000 commits we have received for the Grommet, and there are more people outside the community, outside HPE, are contributing to Grommet. And if you want to look at the statistics, or if you want to learn more about Grommet, we have a link over here. You can visit v2.grommet.io. This will give you like basic overview, like how to get started. And this will also provide you links like, you can follow the Grommet channel on Twitter. You can share your feedback on the GitHub repo. You can join the vibrant Slack community. We have around 3,000 people in the Grommet Slack channel. You can interact with them. If you have any questions, we are happy to help you out. So let's talk about like Grommet components. So as I already told you, like Grommet component is the building blocks of Grommet library. So if you know if you know about these components, then you can master developing applications using Grommet. This screenshot tells you like what are the different components provided by Grommet. You can see a box component. You can see a text component, paragraph component. There are few more components that are available. So I have a link over here. You can navigate to v2.grommet.io/components, where you can see all these different components. If you wanted to know like more details about a particular component, you can click on that component, which will explain what that component is all about. It gives you a code sample, like how to use it in your application. And it also has a link to Storybook and Code Sandbox. These I will talk about in few minutes. And it also explains like what are the properties that are applicable to that particular component. So if you have any questions, you can go to this components page, and you can look at the different properties available, and you can start developing your applications. So from Grommet components, let's switch to Grommet Storybook. So this is another thing which Grommet provides. So Storybook is something which provides a documentation around all the Grommet components. So if you feel like this Grommet component doesn't have enough information for you, you can go to Grommet Storybook. I have a link here, which provides like each and every example for every component in Grommet. Say for example, you need some help regarding button component. So you didn't find enough information or an example of this component. So you will come to this Storybook, and you will click on that particular component, and you will see like there are different examples available here. Say you wanted to use a basic button inside your application. These are 5 different or 6 different ways where you can use the button. So that corresponding code will be displayed at the bottom of the page. So you can simply grab that piece of code, and you can use it in your application as needed. So that's about Grommet Storybook. And let's see like what a Grommet Code Sandbox is. So Code Sandbox basically is an online editor tool which helps you to speed up your web application development. If I want to start using Grommet as of today, as of now, I need to install few packages like Node Js. I need an Npm, everything installed in my machine, and I need to add Grommet to my project. So instead of doing all those, like we provide a code sandbox, you can access the code sandbox directly, and you can start coding yourself. So it's like a playground where you have like different Grommet components available, where you can play with those components. So I navigated to codesandbox.io/GrommetUX/sandboxes. In here, there are around 15 sandboxes which help you to get started with Grommet. Let's take a look like Grommet Hello World example. So once you click on this particular code sandbox, you will see all your code on this panel, and you can see like how it will look like in a browser on here. So if you want to make a change to here, say for example, I make it as a hello workshop, so you can see that the changes will immediately reflect here. As I already told you, Grommet Designer is a tool which helps you to create your screens, user interface screens, using Grommet components. So you can access this Grommet Designer tool live using designer.grommet.io site. So let me click on that link, and which will take you to the designer.grommet.io site. So as soon as you land in here, there are few things that you need to take care. So in order to start creating a new design, you can click on this button, which will help you like get started in creating a new design. But if you already started designing your screens, all those screens will be available under My Design section. So all these designs will be stored under the browser storage. So once you delete your browser, you will lose all these things. And Grommet Designer also provides a tutorial. It's a 2-minute video, which helps you the introduction of how you can use Grommet Designer. And there are few more features available here, something like a theme. I'm going to touch these later in the workshop session. And if you have an existing design, you can import that into your designer using this option. So this is a brief introduction of Grommet Designer. I will show you how you can exactly use this in order to create your web application in Lab 2. So before proceeding further, like I recommend you to go through the GitHub 101 workshop, and also like few of the blog articles that are published under HPE Developer Community Portal. We have the links over here. You can go through the links available there. So there are few different articles written around Grommet and Grommet Designer. So you can refer them for better understanding. So let's proceed to Lab 2 and see what we have over there. So this Lab 2 will focus mainly on using Grommet Designer. So we'll be using this Grommet Designer to design our screen right away. So once you design your screen, then the next step what we're going to do is like we're going to publish the design into the Grommet Designer, and you can share, you will get a URL which you can share with your colleagues for feedback. And once you get your feedback and once you feel that your website is in good shape, then you can convert that design into a code sample, which we can use to run it in a local workstation, or else you can work it on the cloud. That being said, in today's workshop, you'll be designing something similar like this. So you're going to design a biocard application with a header, with a main content, and with a footer. So you're going to edit these details according to your needs. So as soon as you get a student ID, log into that and point your browser to designer.grommet.io. Let me go over here and let's start creating a new design from here. So in order to create a new design, let's click on Create button. This will open up a layer page where it will ask you to input a design name. So by default, it is new design. So your design name is new design. Let me rename it to student X maybe, and let me close the pop-up. And so once you create your design, by default you have one screen here. Under that screen you have a single component, child component called box. So when you click on this box, I don't know whether you'll be able to see, there is a red outline you can see on this screen. So this is the area where you're going to add your header, your main component, and the footer component. So before adding the header, footer, and main component, let me show you like few tips and tricks like how to play around Grommet Designer tool. So the first thing you're going to do is you need to select the particular component where you want to add additional components. So this box component is the main component for us. So we're going to add all the child components inside this particular box. So if you want to add any additional component into this, so you need to click on this plus icon over here, which shows like add a component. And as soon as you click on that, you're going to see like bunch of Grommet components readily available for you. So these are the different Grommet components that are available for you. Let me go ahead and search for a component called text component, and let me add it onto your design. So now we have added a text component here. Let me go ahead and add one more component, say button. So now we have a text component and button component. So in order to modify the properties of these components, you can either click on the left panel and then edit its properties on the right panel, or else you can, if it is a text component, you can directly edit the content here. So say for example, I can start writing over here like hello world, and I can I can change my button properties by clicking on this particular button, and I can adjust its properties. So right now you can see that button is kind of empty and it is labeled as button. So let us change few properties for this. So instead of button label, let me change it as submit. And like, I wanted to give some kind of color to it if I need, like, say for example, the outlining color as a green color or accent color. And there are a few other properties like a primary. So what it does is, like, whenever you select this property, it says that the button is primary, and if you don't want button as a primary, you can unselect that and you can make it as a secondary. So this is the default option. So let me stick with the primary option for now. And over here, there is a button to select like advanced properties. So this will open up few more properties if you have this advanced property enabled. So this is how you can play. So these two things, right, like the text component and the button component, they are kind of squished together. So let's give some some padding or some alignment. So in order to do that, these two components are part of this particular box component, right? So once you edit the properties of this parent component, those properties will be applicable to these child components. So right here, you have a property for this box component called direction. So this will decide in what direction these child components should align. So you have three options here. You can put the direction as column so that all the elements will be in the column. You can put it as row so that it will shift in the row. So as I'm talking, like I'm clicking on this, I can select as column. This will be in the column. This will be the row. And if you want, like, row responsive is another feature that you have. So right now, let's keep it as a column direction. And this is like, at the top of the page. So you have another property called align, which aligns along the vertical axis. So you can click on start, which will like push everything to the left side. If you want to put it all your components in the center of the page, you can select this. And if you want to have a gap between these two components, you can use this gap property. So let me add some medium gap to it so that you can see some gap is available for these components. So this is how you can play around with each component with different properties that you have. There are a number of properties here, so we don't have time to go around all these. So it's like trial and error, play with it. If you don't have, like if you're kind of stuck, then Grommet Designer helps you with the documentation. So you can select this drop down here. This will directly provides the example or the more information on that particular component. So you can click on help on box. This will take you to Grommet Components page of that particular component. So you can read through this, you can get better understanding of that particular component, and you can come back and you can start using it. So, and let me show you like few more features apart from these properties. You have another option here to duplicate. So what it does is, whenever you click on this duplicate button, you select this box and you can click on this duplicate option. So what it does is, like, whenever you click on duplicate, it will add a new component here. If I keep on clicking duplicate, it is adding more number of text buttons to my design. So by mistake, like, if you have added mistakenly added any component, so what you want to do, like how you can do undo on this page. So you have an option here to do undo last change. So I can click on this so that I can undo. So if you want to redo changes, you have another option to redo the changes here. And another feature is, like, if you want to delete a particular component, you can select that particular component on the left panel or in the main layout, and you can click on this delete icon on the right side top corner. You can click on here to delete that particular button. So let me delete everything for now and go back to the Jupyter notebooks. So this gives you, like, basic overview, like how to add a component and edit its properties. So that is the first step that we're gonna do. So I already show you like how to add and edit the properties. Let's proceed to another step where we are importing another feature in Grommet Designer is, like, you can import the existing designs shared by your colleagues, or shared by your what do you call, like anyone outside your team in the open source community. So let's see this import feature, how it gonna work. In order to do that, let me show you how you can import a design first. So whenever you land onto your design screen, click on your design name here. You have an option here called configure. So once you click on this configure button, you have a section called import. So in this import section, you can click on this plus icon to add a URL. So say for example, if someone has designed a design you wanted to reuse, so they will share a link URL with you. So you're going to paste that URL over here in order to import that design into your design. So so to show you an example, I have copied a couple of designs over here that we are going to import now. So let me copy the first URL. So this URL is part of HPE design system. So HPE design system has like bunch of designs that are already available to you. So let's see like what it provides to us. Let me go here and paste that URL over here. And let's also add another URL example that I provided here. So let me copy another URL. This URL, the second URL will import a biocard design for you, whichever I have showed it over here, right? So this design is I already designed this application and I exported it. So you can use this particular URL to import this particular card into your application that you are going to design now. So let me go back to Grommet Designer and add that URL too, and close this pop-up. And let's see, like, let's verify whether those components are imported or not. So in order to verify that, click on this plus icon and scroll down to the bottom of the page. Over here, you see a section called HPE Design System. This is the first import that we have done. These are all the components that are part of that particular design. And the second import that we have done is the card. And these are the components that are part of that particular design. So now we have these, so we can use any of these components into your application, apart from Grommet components that are readily available. So let me switch back to the Grommet notebook section and see, we have seen like how you can import the existing design, right? So now let's see how to add a new header to our design. Let me switch back to Grommet Designer and let me add a new component called header. In order to add a new component, as I said, you need to click on this icon and search for that header. So let me add a avatar header, which is available under HPE Design System. When you select this component, you're going to see that header is added onto your page. You are more than welcome to edit according to your needs. So let me show you how to edit. There are a few different options. You can expand this navigation. You can select each component on the left panel, and you can edit the properties on the right, or else you can double click on this icon and you can change the properties on the right panel. So for example, right now you see the HPE logo. So let's change that to something else. So Grommet provides different icons. So there are around 500 icons, I guess, provided by Grommet. All those icons are available here. You are feel free to select one of the icons that is available. Let me select something called home icon. As soon as I select, you see that HPE icon is changed to home icon. And let me rename my company name. So I want to name it my company as a Student X, and I want to rename my application name as a different name. Say for example, portfolio. So let me type that. So I renamed a few components of the header. Okay, so basically, like you can click on that particular component and you can edit the properties as you go forward. So this is how you can add a header component to your design. So that is the step one of this hands-on lab. And the step two is like designing this card or adding this card into your design. So let's do that. Come back to the Grommet Designer, select this component and add another component called card component. search for card component, and you see this is what we have imported in previous step. So select this component. As soon as you select, you can see this like few components has been added to your left hand panel. These are all the components that are part of this card component. So if you want to make changes to this, you can click on that particular icon. So currently I have my avatar. So if you want to change it to your avatar, click on this image icon, scroll down to the bottom of the page on the right side panel, click on this background option here and select image here. And this is where I have given the avatar URL. So you can replace this URL with your avatar URL, and then you can see the change will be happening over here. So if you want to edit according to your name and description, you are feel free to double click on this and you can edit from here itself. So let me show you how to edit. So I can click on here and make changes here. So this is how you can make changes. If you want to add a button or delete a button, you're more than welcome, and change whatever you want. There is no hard rule that you need to design the application in this particular way. You can use all these Grommet components and you can design as you wish. But in this particular lab, I'm giving you an example, like how you can play around with different components. So that is how you're gonna add an card component. So let's see how you can add a footer component to your design. Let me switch back to designer screen and select this box component and select a footer component. So this footer component is available under HPE design system. Select that footer component and you see the footer is been added to your screen. So as I said before, you can edit this footer as you need. Okay, you can click on that and you can change the labels as needed. So I'm not going to do that in now. So let me make a simple alignment here so that it looks beautiful. So in this box component, I selected the property justify as between, so that it will give the equal spacing between all these components. So now you have your design ready. So in order to see this in the preview mode, in Windows, you do Control E. In Mac, you do Command E. So if you press that, you will see the your design in a preview mode. In order to exit or toggle between edit mode and preview mode, you're going to do the Command E or Control E to get back to to toggle between the edit mode and preview mode. Let's go back to the notebook here. So we have added the footer. Let's see what else we can do. So there's another option where you can apply themes. So Grommet provides a couple of themes to you. If you see your design right here, you're going to see that these buttons and the text are like particular font size and particular color. So by default, the theme will be Grommet. So that's why you see all these buttons and icons are in violet color. What if you wanted to change to different theme? How you can do that? So in order to do that, you have to select your design and click on this configure button. Here under theme section, you have a URL. Click on that. These are the few existing themes that are provided by Grommet Designer, but you can develop your own theme and you can import those themes here in order to use it in your applications. So here we have Aruba, HPE, DXE, few themes available. By default, it is I said it is Grommet. Let me change from Grommet to maybe HPE. As soon as you change your theme, you can see that the buttons color, icon color, everything has changed to green color. You can play around this theme and see how it looks like. So whichever theme you like, you can apply that theme. And another feature that Grommet provides is theme mode. So theme mode is something if you want to access or view your application in a bright view, you can select a light mode. If you don't want to see in a like too much of brightness, then you can select the dark mode. Let me show you how you can apply those theme modes in the Grommet Designer. So again, you need to click on this design name and click on this configure button. Under here, under the section called mode, you have like dark and light. So by default, it is light mode. So let me change it to dark mode here. And as soon as you select that, you can see that your application has switched to dark mode. So you can toggle between both light and dark mode. So this is one of the features that Grommet provides to you. Okay, so now we have learned like theme and how to design your application, right? So let's see how to publish your design and share it with others. So now we finish your designing the application. So let's see how you can publish. So in order to publish, you need to click on the design name, click on the share icon here. This will provide you three options. One is to publish. This option will publish your design in Grommet Designer, and this option will download everything as a JSON file onto your PC. Okay, you can see that it is downloaded, a JSON file. And the other option is generate code. So this will turn your design into a code, real code. So when you click on this code, then it will give you like bunch of instructions like how you can run this piece of code in your local PC. So for that, you need to install Node Js Npm or Yarn Package Manager. So let me explain what exactly a Node Js is. So Node Js is a JavaScript runtime environment which helps you to run this JavaScript or the Grommet application, any JavaScript outside the browser. So you can host your application using, or basically you can run your application using Node.js. So Npm is a Node Package Manager, which is kind of a registry where you have all the packages. So whenever we publish a new version of Grommet, we will push it to NPM repository or NPM registry where everyone can download that particular version of Grommet from this Node Package Manager. And we also see a instruction where you use create React app. So this create React app is a boilerplate code provided by Facebook and React.js community. This basically creates a project for you, and on top of this project, we're gonna add Grommet into it. So basically, as I mentioned before, Grommet is based on React.js framework. So this is an additional library which we add on top of React. So that's why first we'll create a React application, then we're gonna add Grommet on top of React application, then we're gonna start the application. So these are the steps you need to follow in order to run on your local machine. I forgot to show you like this publish option here. So let me put in my email address and a pin, and let me click on publish. So once you click on this publish icon, technically it should publish all your design, and it will provide two options. One option is preview, the other option is comment. So this comment option link is basically to share with your colleagues to gather the feedback. And this preview link is for you or for your colleagues to just view how your design looks like. So let me copy this URL and paste it in the browser and see how it looks like. So this is the application that we just designed, and we have published it to Grommet Designer. So you will get your own unique URL, and you can share it with folks. They won't be able to edit contents of this, but they can comment on it if you share them the comment URL. So they can provide the feedback, and you can take those inputs and you can modify your design. So that is the third option that we have, like publish. Okay, so we have covered like publish, how to publish, and how to design your application and publish, and how to convert your design into a live code. Let's switch to lab 3 of this workshop. So in this lab 3, what we are trying to do is like we're going to prepare your local PC to run this particular application. So right now we have published our design into the Grommet Designer, right? So we're gonna work on this option. So we have generated this code, and let's see how you can run this piece of code in your local PC. So in order to do that, you need to follow all these instructions. So I have included all these instructions in the workbook as part of lab 3. You can follow all these instructions, and you can run your application locally. The first step you have to do is you need to have the Node.js installed. So if you don't have Node.js installed, we have a link over here. You can click on that, which will take you to Node.js download page. You can download the installer and install. So once you install this Node.js, you can verify it using a command node-v. So let me open up a terminal and show you. Let me verify whether I have everything in my PC. So I have opened a terminal and let me check whether I have a node installed. I do node-v. Yes, I see that I have a node version 10.16. You can also check whether you have npm installed. So once you install Node.js, npm node package manager is comes with Node.js. So no need to install it separately. You can verify, but you can verify it. So if you do npm-v, it will show you whether you have npm installed or not. So this node package manager is basically to install the packages, to get the package from the npm registry. So now we have the Node.js installed and we have the npm package manager. Let's also install this yarn. So yarn is also a package manager, similar like Node npm. npm is the default package manager, but I prefer to use yarn package manager because it downloads packages pretty quick than npm. So this is also another requirement. Like if you want, you can install this and you can verify that particular version. In order to verify, you use yarn -- version. This will give you whether you have yarn installed in your PC or not. If not, I have provided a link here. You can download yarn package manager and install it in your PC. Once you do that, the next step is you have to create React app. So let me go ahead and create a new React app. To do that, I'll do npx. npx is different from npm. npx is like, node package executable. So this will directly fetch this create React app and execute in your local machine. Instead of downloading everything, it will fetch and install directly. So let me do that. npx, then create React app, and you're going to give the app name. So I'm going to give it as student X as an example and press enter. So this will take like maybe like 1 or 2 minutes in order to download everything, like creating your application and downloading all the dependencies. Then it will initialize your Git repository. So it's gonna do like bunch of background processes. It will take a minute here. So let's wait till it finish creating the application. Once we are done, then let me show you the next steps on what to do over here. Okay, so looks like it has downloaded everything, all the packages. So let me get inside that particular folder. I named it as student X. Oops, maybe I mistyped it. Okay, so I made it as a student X. So I'm inside that particular project. So if you go back to your designer, you have created React app, right? Then you are inside this particular folder. Then what you have to do is you have to add the Grommet dependencies to it. So let me do that here. So this will fetch all the code related to Grommet and styled components and Grommet icons. And you can see that is finished. Once you have done, then what you have to do is like replace the contents of src app.js with the text below. So you need to copy all this content and go back, and let me open up a Visual Studio editor here. And let me go inside src folder app.js. Let me replace all this content with the content that we have, and let me save this and come back to the terminal here. And now we have saved the application, right? So let me do yarn start. That is the next step that is mentioned over here. Once you replace the content, you need to do yarn start in order to start your application. So this should open up your application. So it looks like there is another application running. So let me do yes. By default, the application will be run on port 3000. So as I already have another instance of application running, so it is hosting this application on different port, which is 3001. So if you just give a like few seconds to it to build the application, and here it is. So now we can see your application is up and running in your local machine. So you have published in the designer, and you generated the code, and you are able to run the same application on your local machine. So this is good enough for this lab. But if you want to still go further in this lab, so we have like another lab which will show you how you can push your source code from your local environment to GitHub and then run it in Netlify. So let me take like few minutes here to quickly show you how you can push your source code from your local machine to GitHub repository. To do that, let me switch back to the Visual Studio Code and open up a terminal here. And okay, so let me go back to the GitHub account, because this is where we're going to push the code, right? So I logged into my GitHub account. So if you have your GitHub account, you can log in. If not, I have provided instructions here, like how you can create in the notebook, like how you can create a new GitHub account, how you can create a repository. All these instructions are here. So you can follow all these instructions in order to create a new repository and push your source code. So let me quickly show you that. In order to create a new repository, you click on here, click new repository, name it as student X, name it as like student X here, and click as create repository. So once you create a repository, GitHub will provide two options for you. One is like it will ask you like whether you have already existing repository in your machine, or else you want to create a new repository. As we have created a new repository already in our machine, we're going to follow these instructions. So let me copy that instructions and go back to the terminal and stop my application, and or else I can yeah. So over here I can check the status of my application here. So Git status will tell you like what are the files that you have modified, and these are on your local branch. So let me sync my local branch with the GitHub branch. So I copied this commands, right? So I'll execute in over here right now. So whenever you just copy and paste it and execute it. So the first statement is tells you that whatever you have in your local machine, it will push all the code and link to this particular account and this particular repository. So all code will be pushed onto this repository. And the next thing is to push from your local machine to the master branch. So I think it is done right now. So I forgot one step here. So before that, I need to add track my thing, and I need to give a commit message to it as maybe initial commit. So then let me run again this push command, which will push all the code, and come back to my GitHub repository and refresh this GitHub repository link. And there you go. So you see that right now, like, before 13 seconds before, you have pushed everything here. So now you have your code here. And the next step, I'm going to show you like how you can put a CI/CD pipeline to it using Netlify. So let me log into Netlify. All these instructions are available in Jupyter Notebook. So you can go to netlify.com, click on login. If you don't have account, you can create an account. So I already have an account on my name. All I need to do is like you have to click new site from Git option here and select a GitHub account here. So whenever I select here, so it is linked to my GitHub account. So if you are doing this first time, it's gonna ask you the credentials. So let me change the branch that I wanted to do here. Maybe select here, select my account and search for student. So there is another repository existing in my machine. So it's a student 20 project. So let me deploy that to quickly show you how the CI/CD pipeline looks like. So once you click on deploy, you can see a message that the site deployment is in progress. So once your site is ready, you can click on this link where you'll be able to access this application. So this is what I wanted to cover you. So I'm not able to finish everything, but I have all the instructions in here. So let me conclude this session. So in this workshop, I have showed you what exactly by end of this workshop, like you might have learned like what exactly Grommet is, why it is used, and how you can use your Grommet designer to design the application, and how you can convert the source code into a live code and push it to GitHub repository and deploy it to Netlify. So this is a lengthy workshop, so it's going to take more than an hour to finish. We have all the instructions here, so please feel free to download all these notebooks and install Jupyter Notebook on your local machine and follow these instructions. And if you have any questions, you can join the Slack channel and you can post your questions there. So, and please don't forget to fill out the survey. And once you finish this workshop, click on File and click on Logout in order to log out of this screen. So let me switch back to the slides. So we have covered. Let me wrap up. Like, please don't. Please take a time to fill up the survey. And these are the additional links that are provided for you. So please go through it if you have any questions. And we have this single slide where we have like some information about HPE developer community. If you have any questions, you can join our Slack channel and you can post our questions there. Thank you so much.